I don't even know. Like, maybe I can't hear Nick either. I don't know.
All right, y'all ready to rock?
Yeah.
Let's
All right,
roll.
let's get ready to go. What's good? What's good? What's good? You two in Apartment 5B podcast hosted by your man Kill. Tonight we got the collabo efforts with two of my brothers, Vague and Tone, with that time in hip hop podcast. What's going on, Vague?
Chilling, man. Yo, I just went to the Tribeca Film Festival, saw that D'Angelo documentary.
Word? How was it?
Review for it.
How was
Writing a review for it. Can't give it away.
No doubt, no doubt, no doubt. No doubt. Tone, what's going on with you, good brother?
Everything good, baby. Everything
All right,
good.
all right. No doubt, no doubt. Porsche, ladies first. What's going on, miss?
All is well. How are you, Kill?
Hey, you know me. When you're working in the hood, something always going on. DJ Rack One, what's good with you?
Ain't nothing, man. Same old, same old.
All right. And my man Nick out the ATL, what's good, bro?
What's going on, big bro?
Oh, man, everything is good. Y'all know us. Let's jump right into it. Tonight, we're doing a salute show. Y'all know I like to do them maybe every month, every other month, just to salute, our hip-hop, pioneers and everything like that. Tonight, we're talking about this dude is an MC. He's a producer. He's a member of maybe the dopest hip-hop group ever. He's definitely member of one of the greatest groups, groups ever, hip-hop, whatever, any genre of music. He's a visionary. And just does so much for this culture. We talking about the abstract poet incognito Q-Tip out of Queens. So we're going to be chopping it up about top 5 beats versus the first time you heard Tip, when you knew, Tip was going to be serious on the mic, and just everything. If he falls into our GOAT list as an MC or producer, and just everything, just saluting him for everything that he's done for hip hop. So the first question on tap is, when is the first time that you heard Tip? And then when did you know he was going to be like that? You knew like he was going to be nice. And the reason I'm asking this is because in the late 80s, early 90s, there was rap groups coming out every week. Like I remember coming home from Rap City, it'd be the K9 Posse. The other day when we did the show with the question about MF Doom, I forgot the other boy name from KMD, the dark skin boy with the high top fade. I can't name you nobody from Trends of Culture, So there was a lot of dope groups, but it's when did you? I'm saying I can't. Can anybody name anybody from Trends Culture?
Nah, but I can Google it real quick.
I
love that
one
joint.
and done.
Off and on is my shit.
Greg, you know him?
Yeah, dark skinned Jermaine. I don't know.
But so I'm just saying all that to say, because somebody may be like, when you know he was nice? It's just when did you kind of get like, yo, like this tribe group, this ain't the Boogie Monsters. And this is no disrespect to the Boogie Monsters or any of those other people. I'm just saying that because there was so much music coming out, so many people got lost in the sauce. So I know for me, the first time I heard Tip, everybody knows Straight Out the Jungle is one of my favorite albums ever. So that was the first time I heard Q-Tip's name. I ain't gonna hold you. I was like, yo, the boy name is whack as shit. This nigga's name is Q. Like, yo, come on, y'all. Like, and it's funny because then, Naomi was asking me, she was like, yo, his rap name was Ice Cube, like an Ice Cube. And I'm like, I know it sounds crazy, but, Ice Cube was the man. Like, because our kids know Ice Cube is, are we there yet? Know him as, fuck.
The nigga you love to hate, yeah.
Straight out of Compton. They, my daughter knows Ice Cube from Barbershop, So my first thing was Q-Tip, like that's a whack name or whatever. And I don't know, if folk never heard the promo, Google it. It's funny because he about shouts Ali out like 10 times in that song. Like it's like, hey, my DJ's Ali. We from a Tribe Called Quest. My DJ's name's Ali. Like, so at that time, I don't even know if Phife was kind of down with them yet. You know what I mean? Because they ain't even named him. But that was the first time that I heard a Tip, and I would probably say the first time I was like, yo, I really fuck with this boy is probably probably Bonita. I love Bonita, but to really keep it funky was the Can I Kick It remix. You know what I mean? That's when I was like, yo, this is some shit right here. So that was it for me. Vague, what about you, good brother? When's the first time, you heard Tip, and when did you really, become a fan? Let's say that.
The first time I heard him, and I could because I heard the Jungle Brothers joint, but I didn't know if he was in the group or not at that point. But I think the first time I heard him and recognized him as, oh, that's Q-Tip, is Left My Wallet in El Segundo. Because the video came on, and the video coming, like, what the fuck is this? Like, you know what I'm saying? And I felt like, it was catchy. and witty, and you know, Q-Tip is the only one rhyming. So I was like, you know, I left that video like I kind of like that record. The first time I really was like, yo, I really, really like Q-Tip. I think was probably the Bonita Applebone remix. Because you know, I didn't have that first album, so everything was videos for me. Like if a new video popped up, it was like, oh, that's the dude from El Segundo video. And I always loved the, you know, the Between the Sheets song that everybody used, but I just felt like Q-Tip nailed that record, you know what I'm saying, as far as lyrics and what it was about, the whole feel and the vibe. And I was just like, man, this dude is dope. And then obviously Low End Theory took it to another level for me.
Right. Yo, let me ask you this, because you said I always thought the remix, because you got the album right behind you, the Hootie remix. I always thought that was the first time somebody used Between the Sheets. That wasn't. There was somebody before that.
I think there was, but I don't think it's as memorable as that and when Biggie used it.
Right.
Because I felt like when that Bonita Applebone remix came out, I felt like I heard that before on a rap record.
Okay.
Or maybe it was a freestyle for all I know.
Right.
But that was the one that kind of stuck with me. So like when Biggie had his joint, I thought about Bonita Applebone remix. Right. So whatever that other one is, you know.
Right. Right.
Could have been.
I was just checking it because I always tell people that Bonita was the first for that. So
it might be. I had to do some research though.
All right, no doubt, no doubt. Tone, what about you, good brother?
Yeah, man, I hate to be redundant, but to kind of echo both of you guys, man, for me, it was the Hootie remix of Bonita, because, of course, before that, I heard the Jungle Brothers. I was up on Jungle Brothers hard, so I heard Black is Black and all that. And, you know, he was a nobody at that point, so you kind of overlooked it. Like, it was a lot of features at the time, so it wasn't a really big deal. Then I saw the video for El Segundo. I said, okay, Tribe, it kind of interesting. Then I heard Bonita, the regular song. I said, that's dope. But I wasn't always convinced yet. Then something about that remix with the Hootie joint with the Osler Bros. I'm like, damn, that shit is real dope. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, his voice sounded really good over the remix. And I was like, well, maybe this dude Q-Tip got something with him. And so I think for me, it was like Beg said, it was that Hootie remix. And then, of course, leading into the Low End Theory, it was kind of a rap after that. But yeah, for me, it was that Bonita remix.
All right, no doubt. What about you, Porsche?
I don't want to be repetitive, but kind of the same thing. Again, like where I grew up, it was very difficult to get hip hop, like just in general. So for me, I just remember, I can't pinpoint exactly when it was. I can't pinpoint exactly when it was when I first heard of Tip and anything that he was sort of involved in, but it was Low End Theory that kind of solidified Tip, of course. So yeah, but again, Bonita, like it's just the best.
Yo, it's so funny because I'm shocked because there's so many hip hop heads I know who never even heard the remix. You know, so it's bugged to hear everybody saying the remix. You know what I mean? So that's dope too. Nick, what about you, good brother?
Yeah. For me, it was Low End Theory without a doubt. Born in '79. I mean, my uncles played De La, so I heard like Buddy and the singles from the first album, but Tip wasn't Tip into the Low End Theory. That's like, okay, I'm fucking with this nigga. Like, had the distinctive voice, and that's my favorite album of all time. So the Low End Theory was when I knew, 12-year-old. You know what I mean?
No doubt. Tell me this, bro. What's your favorite song on the Low End?
The intro, the Excursions.
Okay,
that's like, they got like the greatest opening cut and the greatest closing cut of all time.
Mm-hmm. All right, no doubt. What about you, right?
For me, it was a little different, man. I liked People's Instinctive. That was when I realized who he was or what he was as a standpoint of the leader of the group. That was the first album that I actually bought, like that I can remember in my hip hop, life or whatever. That was the first album. I was coming from Sixers camp, and I made my mom and step pop stop and buy that album. Like I had to have that album. Like Veg said, it was the video El Segundo. Just for me, it just captivated me, and I had to have that album. So I kind of knew what it was from the gate. I was cool with whatever they was gonna do after that, but I'm a big fan of People's Instinctives. I love that album to this day. And that's kind of, for me, that solidified it for me. I didn't have to hear anything else. Now, I mean, I had heard him on the Jungle Brothers, but I had no idea who he was. I didn't know, I figured he might have been a guest verse or whatever the case. But for me, it was People's Instinctives. That's where it started for me.
Yo, let me ask y'all this. Did anybody else think Tribe Called Quest was just Q-Tip, and what the fuck did these other three niggas do?
I did. Because they didn't do anything. They just was in the video.
Well, no, I did, but that's because Q-Tip has the most distinctive voice, too.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
like, you can pick him out, and he stands out, and that's who you sort of, like, I don't know.
But see, for me, it was different, because I listened to that album back and forth, and Phife got, 5 verses, maybe?
Yeah.
And we talking on an album that's got, like, 15 songs.
Exactly,
So I initially was just like, okay, well, maybe it's just Q-Tip and these other guys they just there to look cool. Because hip hop back then, it was kind of like that. You have 9 dudes standing with you, and there'd be one dude rapping, and there'd be a whole group. So I thought, okay, well, maybe Q-Tip is just that guy, and they just, they accessories.
Right.
No,
Vague, what was you about to say?
Oh, I was gonna say that for me, I didn't know Phife was a rapper in the group until Can I Kick It video.
Right.
Yep.
He started rapping because I was like, right. I was like, right. I was like, oh, those just in the El Segundo video, they just hanging there.
They just hanging.
Like, oh, those
in the
boys.
background. Yeah.
Until Phife started rapping.
That's what I meant based off the videos, because you see El Segundo is Tip, you see Nita, and so it's like, you know what I mean? Like you said, Rack, in those days, though, and I always tell the younger generation, there was a time where if we was on me, Vague, Tone, Nick, if all of us were cool and only 2 of us rhymed, we was still gonna be a group. You know what I mean?
Yep.
By the way, Porsche was gonna be the DJ, and we people forget about E Love. That nigga just held the radio for LL. You know what I mean? Like, so back in those days, if you was cool and you had a crew, nigga, we gonna come up with something for you to do.
They started counting that money.
That's exactly what it is.
Can't do this no more.
Yeah, now see, nowadays we can't do that because, like, nah, nigga, you gonna, and I always say back to Google and Gangstar that was is older for him to understand. Like, yo, Primo, you better make some beats because you ain't signing this contract if you just a DJ. What's up, Tone?
Kill, I kind of look at it way, kind of like what Rick was saying, like. I look at Tribe first album like they were like Public Enemy. Like Q-Tip was Chuck D and everybody else them S1W. You know what I'm saying? Like including Phife and Jerobi and Ali Shaheed, because Q-Tip was the MC on on People's Instinctive, and what Phife had I don't know, a verse or 2, but he was really in the background somewhere. So I almost looked at Tribe like a solo act with some hangovers.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Until I bust through on a low end theory, you know what I'm saying? Like to me personally,
right? Nah, it was the same thing for me, and I think and I was just asking that question because I've been in discussions with people, and they're like, basically, was because everybody who loves People's Instinctives, I'm like, that's basically almost like a Tip solo album.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So
funny thing about that first album for me, I didn't hear it until '93. Because I remember going to the store to get Midnight Marauders, and I didn't even know what it was called. I just saw another Tribe tape that I didn't have, and I bought it. So when I get home, like, this ain't the new shit. So I had to go back like 2 weeks later to get Midnight Marauders. So I'm like, so I didn't hear the first album until like 3 years later.
Okay.
So my experience was different because Phife was always rapping to me, on Low End Theory.
Right. But then I think it goes on, we'll talk about the documentary, just how Tip was like he had to drag Phife to the studio. So, it kind of makes sense, but just going back to what Rex said, like, yo, if we cool and you a part of the group, you know what I mean? Or whatever like that. All right, let's talk about Tip's production, because I personally think Tip doesn't get as much respect as he should for his production, namely because it was produced by a Tribe Called Quest.
Yeah.
Coming up in our day, the DJ made the beat. So I'm sure I know for me, I can't speak for nobody else. I thought Ali made all the beats. You know what I mean? So that's what I thought the DJ did or whatever like that. It wasn't until Midnight Marauders and Tip started doing outside production and Ali started doing outside production. I was like, nah, it ain't. Like, I'm here with you doing. I'm here with you doing. Nah, nigga, it ain't you. It's Tip. You know what I mean? But 3 things I want to talk about. and then we're gonna get into the beats because we did this on a Dilla show, and a lot of people always saying, "Kill, you know, I don't produce, so I don't know half the shit you're talking about." So 3 things that stands out to me about Tip's production. 1, his drums. So one of the biggest things about drums is if you listen to People's Instinctives, a lot of the stuff you hear on there are break beats. A break beat is just is basically just when old soul song would give a drummer a solo, and it's essentially a break. It's a drum solo. You know what I mean? Sample that. So if you listen to Bonita, that's a drum break from this group called Little Feat. You know what I mean? So a lot of People's Instinctives were break beats. Once you got the low end, that's when people started programming drums. And that's something that Marley is Christian with, is being the first person to kind of say, oh, I can take the kick from Synthetic Substitution, the snare from Impeach the President, and the hi-hat from the, the Skull Snaps break, and then I can program the drums myself. So when I'm talking about his drums, namely his snares, Tip's snares hit so fucking hard. Like I can't, my old head Roots used to always be like, no disrespect to women. He used to say, your snare needs to sound like a pimp smacking his hoe. I didn't say that. He said, nobody get mad at me. That's just what that nigga said. So I'm like, okay, I gotta make sure these snares.
You have to edit that out the show. Like,
I gotta make sure that these snares are snapping. And if you listen to The World Is Yours, the remix he did, that snare. If you're listening to the jazz remix, that snare. If you're listening to Crooklyn, his drum program is just crazy. Also, Tip has a great swing to him. What a swing is if you're programming drums and I'm like boom boom cat for the snare, you can add swing to it so that it bounces more and it's like boom. So it's not just boom boom, it goes to boom. And the MPC is famous for that swing, the SP. So Tip's swing is just crazy with his drum programming. And then last but not least, what I love about Tip, and a lot of people don't notice this, he gives his drums solos. And what I mean by that is if you listen to Come Clean, most people, you listen to Come Clean, there's no break. You're hearing the sample the whole time. If you're listening to Troy, you hear the sample. Listen to most hip hop songs, the producer may dead the sample for a second, like a little, like I said, a boom, and then the sample comes back. Whereas Tip, if you listen to the third verse of One Love, it's just drums. You know what I'm saying? If you listen to the end of Just Step with Mobb Deep, when Prodigy is like, while you're on the wrong route, let me put you on your feet. All of that is just drums. And most producers don't do that. The other thing that Tip does is he does a great job of setting his songs off with drums. Again, when you listen to Troy, what do you hear? You hear the horn first. When you hear Come Clean, what do you hear? You hear the sample first. With Tip, when you hear the Get Down remix by Craig Mack, the first thing you hear is the drum. You know what I'm saying? And as a DJ, I could backspin that drum.
That's why I'm over here shaking my head, man.
Yeah, I mean, over and over again. Same thing when he did Apache's Gangsta Bitch. I can listen to those intros of the drums over and over.
Indeed. I got goosebumps now, man. Thank you, Kim.
When you press play on One Love, you hear them drums. So it's just something that these are just little tidbits of things that people may have never paid attention to, but just to salute Tip because he's really doing things against the grain. Because like I said, everybody else is letting the sample play first, then the drums come in. Tip is doing the exact opposite. On the Oh My God remix, he'll start off on the MP. It's called the tap repeat button. You can hold it down and you get da 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 da. When you listen to the Oh My God remix, that's how it starts off. It goes da 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 ka. Oh my gosh! It's so. Rec is enjoying himself. I'm glad I'm making you smile, good brother. Yeah,
it's right here. That's right here for your MPD cats.
Right.
It works. Use it.
It's just had a different way of doing it. All right, that's my productions thing. My top 5 favorite Tip beats: the Get Down remix for Craig Mack. The drums, just the way that it starts off is crazy. I know God Bless the Dead. I was never a big Craig Mack fan. I love Flavor in Your Ear, but Project Funk the World probably only got maybe 2 or 3 spins out of me. I thought Get Down was cool, but when I heard the Tip remix, I was like, damn. And I was actually shocked Diddy went to Tip for a remix. So, I would always love to know the behind the story with that. Next up, The World Is Yours remix for Nas. Yo, I remember being in the studio at EAA with my OG Vinny V when I was interning at Strictly Hip Hop. We got the promo for The World Is Yours. We are floored. We're like, this is the greatest shit we ever heard in our life. This is incredible. Nobody can ever outdo this. I don't know how the fuck Tip did it. He outdid that shit. You know, no disrespect to Pete. It's great, but that World Is Yours remix didn't match with the video. Like, I never, that's the other thing. I wasn't even feeling the OG video, but the World Is Yours remix.
The remix video,
oh my God.
Yeah.
Everything fit. Third beat, Crooklyn Dodgers. Now, here's the thing
you just
about
took 3 of mine right there, bro.
I apologize. Brother, we can talk about them all. I apologize. Crooklyn, the reason that Crooklyn is so fucking crazy is because if I'm not mistaken, to this day, nobody knows what the fuck he used. Now, for people who don't dig, that may not sound like a lot. We came up in a time where there was no whosample.com. You know what I mean? That there was no, we could just go to the computer and find out. So the fact, like, yo, what, if Crooklyn came out in 93, 94, we talking 20 plus years that diggers across the world, okay? We are now with the World Wide Web where you can talk to people from Yugoslavia. Nobody knows what he used for Crooklyn, which is unheard of. We've had lots of them. For a long time, nobody knew what Primo used for Mass Appeal, but they eventually found it. For years, people didn't know what Havoc used for Shook One. They eventually found. We have not found Crooklyn yet. What else is Tip? You know what? I'm gonna let y'all go because I don't want to take nobody else. I'll come back on the other end. Vay, give me some of your top 5 Tip beats and why.
Well, one thing to what you said on whosample.com, I actually looked up that record today, and they have what they say is the sample, but when you go in the comment section,
right,
he getting roasted.
Mad other shit, and it was just like, so what is it? Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So you're right. It's still debatable.
Right.
I had down what the fuck I had down. I had the World Is Yours remix. I wasn't a big fan of the World Is Yours when I first heard it. Like, obviously, you know, I like it because it's good hip hop, but I wasn't a big fan. And when I heard the remix, I was like, this is the shit I'm talking about. Like the beat, the way it starts up with the who's what, like that's crazy. Nas came through with the verses, the hooks, dope video also. What else I had down here? Crooklyn Dodgers, obviously. I think one thing I wanted to say about like what you were explaining about Q-Tip and his techniques and the overall sound of his beats. One thing that I liked about his production was the fact that it was boom bap, but it always felt safer. You know what I'm saying? And not even in a bad way. More so like when I hear a beat like the Crooklyn beat, Crooklyn Dodgers joint, it feels good. You know what I'm saying? Like it has this feeling to it that's, you know, sure, it's hip hop, you nod to it, but it's more of a groove than anything. And that's how Tribe is. Like everything he made was more of a groove. Even, you know, the stuff he did like Give Up the Goods. Like Shook Ones and all that other stuff is real dark, but Give Up the Goods, Drink Away My Pain, like it has a good feeling to it regardless of the lyrics. So that was kind of one thing I kind of observed because I was trying to figure out like, well, what is it I like about his production? And even on their last album, I think that's why I liked it because a lot of that traditional Tribe sound was embedded in some of those new beats. He did High Sex on a Platter.
Yeah.
That's another one. I heard that beat. I was like, yo, fucking Tribe Called Quest can't lose. Like, them niggas were like, people think, like, because there was a point where Jay-Z was hit after hit after hit after hit. Tribe was like that. Like, around that time, like, it was like everything they put out was dope. Beat was dope, verses, everything. High Sex on a Platter was just a crazy record. I'm gonna just say all 5, right? I think I got 2 left. Electric Relaxation, obviously, very cool beat. You know what I'm saying? They did their job with the lyrics. And the last one is One Love by Nas, because I think with everything else that was on that album, Illmatic, everything kind of had a dark tone to it. And I think what Q-Tip did with One Love, it didn't remind me of a Tribe Called Quest, but it was different, but it fit with what Nas was talking about, with what was already on the album. And I remember like the first time I heard One Love, I was listening to the beat more than I was listening to the lyrics. I had to rewind it because I was like, damn, this beat is dope. Like Q-Tip did this? Like this beat is crazy. Because like you said, man, I always looked at Ali Shaheed Muhammad as he's the producer. So when Q-Tip started doing records for other people, I felt like that was the first time I was hearing his beats. And they were all crazy. So yeah, that's my 5.
All right, and it's funny. One Love was one. This joint right here took me years to find an OG copy. Brothers, this is Smiling Billy Sweet.
Oh wow.
This is the OG joint. And yeah, like Veg said, the funny thing is it just had that feeling to it. It had like that exotic feeling to it. It almost sounded like Tip, like you said, it was dark. Everything else was dark, and then you just hear them xylophones of the limber. You hear that?
He brought light to it.
Yeah, you know, it's just like it's crazy, man. And then my other last beat was "Give Up the Goods" by Mob. One of the reasons I want to say is over here somewhere. God, I don't even know where it is. Fame Esther Fat Boys. Here it is. This Esther Phillips joint. This is
yes, sir. I got that joint too.
This is and I remember hearing the sample for
LL
Plastic Bag and Crush.
Yeah, the remix. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Hell yeah.
Because the OG Pink Cookies was whack, but again,
it ain't whack. Come on, man.
Yo, I
oh, man.
It was. Yeah, look, I'm laughing because it was.
I ain't like that joint at all. I
like that, man.
I'm not mistaken, because then it used the same emotions. Break. Yeah, it used.
Yeah, it was the same thing. He did.
Again, the video with LL getting the flat.
The remix is hotter though, no doubt.
On the joint. So when I heard that, then it was just like, y'all know I'm a big. I hate when people reuse the same sample, but yo, Tip killed that, man. Like just killed it. So Tone, what about you? What's your joints, good brother?
All right, man. First, man, I'm glad you did that breakdown because you guys being producers, man, give that insight to listeners and be real descriptive with it. I think that helped everyone. Helped me as well, man, because I don't make beats. So I mean, I learned something when he was saying that, man. So that's a good job, man. But I go with Lyrics to Go. I like the way Q-Tip sampled that Minnie Riperton, man. The way he took her voice, man, and just it's just amazing what Q-Tip did with that sample, dude. You know what I'm saying? And I think you guys being producers, you can feel me on that. But so I'm gonna go with Lyrics to Go. It's my favorite Tribe song. It's one of my favorite hip hop songs. Q-Tip was flawless on the beat. I'm gonna go with Temperatures Rising with Mobb Deep. People gotta remember, man, Q-Tip kind of helped create the drums and snares and stuff for Havoc. He influenced Havoc with the Infamous because Juvenile Hell was not like that. You know what I'm saying? So he banged on that Temperatures Rising, man, and the hook was dope, drums dope, whatever. Was one of my favorite beats. Crooklyn, no need to really go deep into that. You guys already talked about it.
Yo,
Footprints off People Instinctive Tribe.
For one sec, let me ask this. Did anybody ever wonder why Tip did Crooklyn? Because I was really sitting there when it first got to end, and I'm like,
he's not from Brooklyn.
Wait, why
not from Brooklyn? Yeah, you're right.
Like, why didn't somebody from Brooklyn do this beat? This Tip, I need you on the show, good brother. I got questions for you. Ain't nobody ever fucking asked you. Trust me.
Right.
I got so many
That's questions. A good question.
Yo, I'm dead ass. Like,
that's a good question.
Producers that, because I know niggas like, you ask me same shit. My nigga, I guarantee you, I'm gonna ask you 90% questions you may have never even fucking thought of yourself. Except we get you on the show. But did anybody else be like, why is this Queens nigga doing a Brooklyn track? Or just be, like, you was there?
As the resident Brooklynite. Actually, today when I was doing some research, I found the interview that Q-Tip and I think Buckshot did. I forget who they did it with. About how this record came about. Spike Lee went to Q-Tip to produce the record and to get the rappers, and the only thing Spike Lee said was get all Brooklynites and all Brooklyn rappers. But there was a funny part in there where Q-Tip said, and this is funny because it was Buckshot on the record, Special Ed, and Master Ace, right?
Right. Yeah, that's right.
Old Dirty Bastard was supposed to be on it as well, and Q-Tip said that they were watching a movie, I guess trying to get inspiration to write to the record, And Old Dirty Bastard stood up and said, "Nobody getting shot in this movie," and he left. And that's why he got the 3 cats. So
Yeah. Already.
I ain't never heard that story. That's dope. That's dope. My bad, Tone. I'm sorry to interrupt you from that, but when you said it just made me.
You good, man. That's
Why is there a Queens nigga on a Brooklyn track? But finish your list, Tone.
Nah, actually, that's funny. That's a good point, though, man. I never thought about that. Number 4 would be Footprints from People Instinctive Travels, man. Footprints my favorite beat on the first album. Of course, people love, Bonita and all that stuff like that. But man, the way Q-Tip did Footprints, man, it's a dope song anyway. But that's one of my favorite beats by Tribe. And then, like you said, the Get Down remix, man. Them drums bang, man. He brought out Craig Mack's voice on that, the way he did the remix, man. And I would tie that, if I can do that, with the World Is Yours remix, man. He just took what Pete Rock did and just kind of, to me, just took it to the hardcore streets, because Pete Rock version for me was like clean and cool and clear. But Q-Tip took us back to Queensbridge with his version of The World Is Yours, man. So I might edge that one over the original, actually, man. But anyway, those are mine.
Yeah, and another thing about Tip, he has a way of stripping beats down to like being very minimalistic. Like it's not, when you listen to The World Is Yours, it's not like it's a lot in there. You know what I mean? It's really just like the drums kind of hold it down, and you got little horns floating around here and there, but it's he's able to take a little bit of something and turn it into a lot. And it's different than a Primo who's able to take a little bit of something. It's a different way. Like, Primo will make,
It's like you said. He's not doing much with the track, but because of the sound quality and how he like maximizes each sound so it stands out, then it seems bigger. You know what I'm saying? Than it actually is.
Right. No doubt. What about you?
So, obviously, I love all of the Tribe stuff, but what I do want to say, I kind of have to echo what all 3 of you guys have said so far. I find that Tip, especially what Vegas said, actually, I find that Tip is like a groove and a vibe on his own. I feel like he kind of, like, I was shocked to find out that he had anything to do with anything Mobb Deep, to be honest, because they're so dark and gritty. Like, that's just not Q-Tip, that's not Tribe. So when I found out about that, I was kind of like, for real? Like Q-Tip? Like he's so soft and jazzy. Like what is he doing?
Oh shit.
When I first heard Tip was doing shit, I was like, yo, these motherfuckers kidnapped this motherfucker. Like,
yeah, like this is
these niggas like kidnapped Tip, like pistol whip this nigga. Like,
seriously,
I'm like,
because I had no.
Eddie Murphy Raw, like, why the fuck are you hanging out with Danny Terrio? Like, why?
Wow.
Like, it's just, I was shocked
but
when I found out. But so on mine, I have Temperature Rising, and I think I love that beat. I just love that Tip was involved in that, and I think that anytime Tip is involved with some people like Mobb Deep or like a group like Mobb Deep, it just speaks volumes to his ability to adapt to what their sound is, but then soften it a little bit. And I love that. So Temperature Rising is one. I like Ill Vibe on the coming album, Bustas. And then Scenario, Check the Rhyme, Can I Kick It, Bonita Applebum, of course. And then the Roots joints too, off Philadelphia.
all right.
Yes, that's my favorite Roots album. And of course, this is the other thing about Tip. Every time I love something specific about a rapper or a group, Tip is somewhere in this equation, and that's shocking to me, because he just has his hand in so many things that we don't know. Like, we don't know until years later, because he doesn't talk about it, and nobody seems to be talking about it. So yeah.
Now here's the other thing. Another reason why I think Tip's name doesn't get brought up a lot, because it's almost the flip. Through the Tribe years, we thought it was Ali.
Right.
After Midnight, I remember reading a Vibe magazine, and it's like, here's the Uma. And it was like, who the fuck is the Uma? And it's like Q-Tip, Ali, and JD. At the time, none of us knew who JD was. But here's the wild part, that so much of the stuff that said produced by the Uma, Dilla said he did, which is why he broke away from the Uma, because he was like, everybody was thinking, it was really the flip. Everybody thought it was Ali at first. Now anything that said produced by the Uma, they assumed it was Q-Tip. And Dilla was like, nah, it's me. That's why he broke away and started his whole Pay J shit, because he was like, I'm dipping away from that. So the only reason why I was saying that is because I'm always with the Ill Vibe.
Mhm.
That's very Dilla-ish. You know what I mean? And you know, it's and even the same thing with Illadelph. Like, so I get you. I was just saying for that I think that's another reason why.
And that's fair. But anytime I see Q-Tip's name, just I think his track record supports that he has a hand in stuff and never gets credited for it.
No
So
doubt.
I'm gonna throw those in there and just give the credit to Tip myself anyway.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, we gonna talk about his vision because he's truly like one of those visionary like GMs, like who can like San Antonio GM who can find somebody in the second round and turn that person into a superstar. We're gonna talk about the vision. Nick, what about you?
Y'all named them all. Hot Sex, The World Is Yours remix, One Love. What was the other joint? The Get Down remix by Craig Mack. And he also did one for the Jungle Brothers called it was the remix to My Jimmy Weighs a Ton. And that was the album that they dropped in '93. I can't remember the name. It's a forgettable album, but the remix that Tip did was dope.
Right. Damn, you know what? I'm gonna wait until Rec because I don't want to steal nothing from Rec. Rec, what you got?
All right, so I'm gonna go backwards on mine, man. So number 5, man, is Higher off of Q-Tip's Amplified joint, man. I love that track, man. You said earlier, man, he has an ability to let his beats breathe, so that he can allow whoever's rapping on it to get some clarity. And this is one of those tracks. Craig Mack, the Get Down remix. I have 4 copies of that, and it's still sitting on my shelf. One of the dopest remixes ever. The Nas World Is Yours joint, always a classic. Scenario remix. It is what it is. I ain't got to explain that at all.
See, that's why I'm glad I didn't say that because I'm about to go back.
I don't got to explain it. That shit hit so hard that it had people like, hold up. Like for years, people didn't know what the fuck was going on. And Verses from the Abstract, man. That Heat Wave sample, come on, man. Like Cats, there's probably only 3 artists I can think of that I'm not gonna name that have rapped over that in the last 25 years, and it always brings me back to Verses from the Abstract and how he used it. Nobody uses it the same, but when I look at how it's used, he's always gonna be the top dog out of the 3 that I can think of off the top of my head. So those are my 5.
Right. I had to bring up the Scenario remix. Here's the wild part. Everybody's gonna hate me about this. I was not a fan of the original Scenario beat. Like it was cool. I like Busta the rah rah. If you take Busta off, I probably don't like Scenario as much.
Agreed.
But the remix, that Kool in the Gang said, like, yo, I was like, yo, what? I don't even know what's going on inside this nigga's head to be using type of stuff that he uses, and he takes shit so far away from the original. Like the World Wars remix is like, I'm horrible at math. Is it 180 away or would it be 360? 360 is back to
It's 180. 180
away from the original, you know, and even with Scenario, like that remix, god damn. The other thing I was gonna bring up, the other thing I think that we have to understand about Tip, and that sometimes I forget, this kid was a teenager making people. You know what I mean? So I see it on Twitter all the time where it's like, hey, get these new mumble rappers a break. They only 15. It's like, nigga, Rakim wrote my melody at 13. You know, so it's like, yo, this people's instinctives as a teenager. You know what I mean? This dude is making Bonita Apple one of the greatest songs ever as a teenager. And it bugs me out because I work with teens. So it's like, I'm looking like you could have made like. So I think that's another thing that we got to give Tip, that this dude was making some incredible fucking
music at a young age.
At a young age. Like, you know, I listen back to the demos I made in college and they ain't nowhere close to the stuff that this dude was making when he was in high school. You know what I mean? So I think we got to give him so much credit for that. And my last question on the Get Down remix.
Before you said that, I just thought about something when Portia had said about Nas. Like everybody see how great Illmatic is, and when the top 5 Nas beats or whatever, or the top 5 beats in hip hop come up, no songs from that album is named. My top 5, Low End Theory is my favorite rap album, period. But my top 5 Q-Tip beats contain none of those songs. I just thought about that.
That's bug. Because I to be honest, I did this list like that because I was like, let me get away from Tribe. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm shocked that, like Nick just said, a lot of people didn't name any Tribe. You know, I mean, I know we named Hot Sex in the remix, but you know, I'm expecting World Tour. I'm expecting something off of Midnight Marauders or something off of Low End Theory. But, you know, I'm shocked about that.
Versus is off of Low End Theory.
I mean, yeah, but what I'm just saying is that, you know, the bulk of us aren't naming.
Oh, yeah, no. Cohesively, those albums are great, but it's like we said on another show. When you pull them apart, they don't always have the same luster.
Yeah, which may be a dope point. Going back to Portia's point about Nas and Illmatic is that you look at it as a whole.
Yeah, it's a complete body of work. Yeah,
you know, so maybe it's the same thing with Low End. Like it's so perfect that you can't even look at it differently or separately from anything else. I just want to know at the end of Craig Mack, Get Down, there's some chick screaming, "This is Don Parry from the 40 Projects."
Yo, who was that?
On the song. I don't know. These are questions I got for Q-Tip.
Maybe she was in the studio.
That nigga who let this girl from the 40 Projects get on here. This is Don.
For those who don't know what the 40 Projects is, man, that's Mobb Deep territory, man.
It's impossible because everybody loves Mobb Deep. They're the greatest group ever. So everybody has to know what the 40
man. You'd be surprised, bro.
Yeah. All right. So tell me this. Looking at that's Tip as a producer. And one of the things I've always said, because of everything we said about thinking it's Ali or thinking it's Dilla, I've never heard Tip's name come up as the dopest producer on the mic, which, you know what I mean? I think he is. I think he is definitely top 5 dopest producers on the mic. I just don't think his name ever got mentioned because, like what we said, for all those years, you know, I know people too only found out that Tip didn't do the beats when the Beats Rhymes Life documentary came out. So, like, if it's embedded in your mind for the past 20 years, and Ali did these beats, it's now very hard to kind of erase. It's almost like you ever be watching them court cases and somebody say some shit and the judge be like, forget about that. Nigga, we can't forget. We just heard what the nigga said. Like, it's one of those, like, I just can't erase 20 years of thinking it's Ali and now just slide Tip's name in there. But I definitely think he is one of the dopest producers on the mic. Looking at Tip's verses, what are some of your favorite Tip verses or Tip songs or whatever? I know for me, I had to print up the lyrics. Number one, and I'm shocked that everybody said this, the Bonita Hootie mix. Like the Bonita Applebum, remember way back when you used to play with niggas in your pigtails? I used to be on it like a fly to shit back in the days. Bonita was a hit. I flirted till there was no ends, but she kicked the diabolical as if we was friends. Honey, you was funny, but I'm tired of that. 3 years later, I got a new rap. I got a little older, a tidbit wiser, gained 20 pounds. No, I don't know if it was, being a shorty, be somebody you try to kick it to, and now she home from college and you on your shit. Like that verse, that whole I gained 6 inches higher. Speaking of how I heard you smoked the Hootie Mac. Your ex-boyfriend claims to get the booty back. Like, you talk about a perfect song and a perfect verse.
Oh man.
I mean, that was crazy. Another one of my joints is Suck a Nigga. I be hating sucker MCs and the sucker niggas, just everything. My style's reminiscent of young girls' desire, old females' dreams. I be the abstract poetic representing from Queens. That's crazy. For me to check the rhyme, I love the how far must you go to gain respect. And I love the way that Premier scratched that shit up for a long way to go. Like, that was beautiful. And of course, there's, you know, the infamous, you know, record company labels are shady. Another one of my favorite Tip verses, Drink Away the Pain, that I heard Prodigy had a problem with because they like, yo, nigga, we talking about this shit.
That was the same way. Like, nigga, that made no sense.
Yeah. Like, yo, nigga, we over here talking about this shit. You talking about fashion. Like, you know, but I thought it was bugged. And Tommy Hill was my nigga. And others couldn't figure. I mean, Hill figure used to grow through with vigor. Had to split playing how to split these 7 figures. Like, I just thought that verse was dope. He just named, I thought it was dope because he was naming everything we was rocking at the time, you know, the whole, you know, and then how he ended with Helly Hansen, like, because Helly Hansen was the shit back in the day. So I thought that was dope. And then my last favorite Tip joint, Don't Curse, his joint off of Heavy D's joint, the whole, wait, don't want to be in no drama because the bum dilly have is a favor of my mama. So I blow it out and get mad lifted. Don't have to say, just to show that I'm gifted. God bless me because I reached my 21st. Hep D, don't drop a curse. Those are like my top 5 Q-Tip verses. Tone, what you got up for us, good brother?
Man, for me, that first verse from Sucker Niggas, man. I was just looking back at the lyrics just now, and I actually used that on an article I was writing about nigga, as far as like hip hop, one of the popular words in hip hop, and some of the good and bad of how that word is used in the culture. But the way Q-Tip broke down nigga on Sucker Nigga, and how it was started and originated in the Deep South and things like that, and how we started using the term endearment. He really broke that down, man. So for me, that verse on Sucker Nigga, the first verse on Verses from the Abstract. Verses from the Abstract is one of my favorite songs on Lower End Theory. At one point, it was my favorite song on there. I did the whole entire song, so it's that one. The first verse on Lyrics to Go, I still go back. That's my favorite Tribe song, so it's gonna always be on every damn Tribe list. Midnight off Midnight Marauders. I think that song Midnight off Midnight Marauders showed Q-Tip's lyrical ability, because for whatever reason, Q-Tip is very underrated as an MC. He's underrated lyrically. And if you listen to the wordplay in Midnight on Midnight Marauders, for people who doesn't really listen to that song or might skip it or whatever, trying to get to electric relaxation or something like that, no, go back and really digest that song, man. He was amazing on that track lyrically, man. And this last joint is not really a lyrical song, but it's a dope song the way he penned it. And it's that joint on the Renaissance called Life is Better with Nora Jones, man. That's one of my favorite Q-Tip joints away from Tribe. So those would be my 5 joints right there. The verses on it might be the actual first verse on Life is Better with Nora Jones.
All right, no doubt. Veg, you good?
Yeah.
All right, what you got?
I don't have 5, but I probably got 3. I love Q-Tip's verse on We Got the Jazz. I thought it was just
the OG, the original or the remix. The original or the remix.
Well, he killed the remix too. But just hearing the original and the wordplay, and I remember like before when I would hear him say, I'm the abstract poetic. That was one of them records where I was like, oh, that's why he called himself that. Because there was just a lot of wordplay there that was, you had to rewind it, especially at the age I was at, where I was just like, damn, I don't even know what some of this shit means. It's so good. I love this verse on Hot Sex on a Platter. I thought that verse was dope. What else? Something you just said, Kill. I think it was the first joint you said. What was that record?
The first joint was the Bonita remix, Sucker Nigga.
Bonita remix. Mainly because, LL is coined as the person who brought those types of records to hip hop, or made it cool to do it, basically.
Right.
And I felt like Q-Tip verses are perfect on that Bonita Applebum record. Like, there's not a flaw in there whatsoever. It's because it's not just making a song about women. It's making a song about women that women would like, that men can relate to.
Right.
So you get the best of both worlds. So he doesn't compromise. Like LL, some cats felt like, yo, this soft ass record, this nigga hugging this girl, man. You know what I'm saying? I liked it, but when I Need Love, it was kind of like he leaned heavier towards the women. You know what I'm saying? And only some men could really dig it. Whereas Bonita Applebum was like, I'm like Q-Tip. I feel the way he feel about her. I've had those situations. So I thought Q-Tip did an excellent job of just conveying that emotion, that feeling you had with, a woman you like. And I think that, yeah, I mean, he got a ton of verses I like, but that's definitely, I tell you what I don't like. I don't like his verses on Scenario. Like, they're just setups for Buster. Like,
yeah.
You know
he throwing the lob. He throwing the lob.
Throw the alley.
He's throwing the hoop. That's all. He just throwing the hoop for Buster. You know what I mean? Porsche, what you got up?
Okay, I kept mine short because I feel silly reading these out. But okay, I've got Life is Better from the Renaissance album, and it says, one step at a time, a man walked on the moon, one record got played, Cool Herc said boom. And I love it. I just think Tip is very witty, and I like that. So wordplay, yeah, sure, all of that. He sounds great. He's got a distinct voice, but he's also really witty, and I really like that. The other one from Check the Rhyme, rap is not pop. If you call it that, then stop. Shorty, let me tell you about my only vice. It has a lot, has to do with lots of loving, and it ain't nothing nice. I love that one. And then we got to stay awake for all these lizards and snakes. Some of them come as friends, some of them come as jakes from Ill Vibe. And then we got to meditate our greedy levels because the lust of currency can have us sleeping with the devil.
Yeah.
So those ones are my favorite.
Yeah, no doubt. What about you, Nick?
Suck a nigga is self-explanatory. Pretty much that whole song. You know what I mean? The excursions, because that like I said, that's my opening to Tribe. So when I heard the back in the days when I was a teenager, before I had status, and just the whole breakdown, that I just love it.
Yeah.
The Get a Whole verse from the Beats, Rhymes, and Life album is another one. The Shafi, is it Shafi MCs? I never get the name right, but it's like a De La Soul B-side.
Off the Clear Lake Auditorium.
Yeah, that joint. And I always wondered if Prodigy had a problem with that verse, because he was like, when I rhyme, the results just ripple. You get sick. I hope the cells get sickle and formulate into some real stiff shit. Then I bet that ass to straighten out quick. Like, I always wonder, like, did Prodigy have a problem with that when he met Tip? Like, nigga, what's up with that verse? You know,
here's the wild part. I never paid attention to that.
Yeah, man.
He ain't pay attention to it either. Like, you know what I mean?
I'll be like, bruh, we gotta talk about that line. And then the Rhyme and Reason soundtrack, he had the Wild Hot joint.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like him and Buster snapped on that one. So those are my 5 from Tip.
What about you, Rack?
So my joint is Drink Away the Pain. I actually like his verse better than I did P and Havoc's, man, because I could relate to the fact that he was talking about fashion. I was 16 years old. I wasn't fucking drinking. So I knew exactly what he was talking about when it came to the clothes. That's the same thing I'm trying to get, my parents to buy me. So I love this verse. Suck a Nigga, I don't have to explain it. The song explains itself. It's a great verse. It's just him. So just, check that out. Hot Sex, for everything that we said earlier, it was one of those songs that hit you during an off time. They didn't have an album out. It was from the Boomerang soundtrack. So
yeah.
If you didn't know that they was on the soundtrack, it smacked you in your face, and the video just pops up, and you're like, "Oh shit!" And then the fact that he's got this mask on for years. I think Kill, you told me what happened.
Yeah,
I never.
Yeah.
When you're 15, 16 years old, and there's no social media, if you don't have anyone that's in that circle, you just won't know. And if they don't talk about it, it's not going to be in Word Up. It's not going to be in the source. It's not going to be in rap pages. You're just not going to know. So you figure I'm probably was 38 when I figured out what it really was, and that came from you. So that all comes around 360 for me. I love that song. I love his verse. Check the Rhyme, probably to me one of the top verses. I ain't gonna say in hip hop, but just top verses, period. And my favorite verse of all time, man, is verses from the Abstract, man. That's a beautiful song. Period, point blank. He's shouting out everybody that he's cool with. The song is dope. The sample is dope. It's one of my favorite songs of all time, man. If you haven't heard it, you need to check it out.
Yeah. Let me and just if people don't know, there was a problem with Braxton Effect where Fife said strictly hardcore rock,
not a New Jack Swing. Yeah.
Braxton Effect caught up with Tip, I think, in Harlem, jumped and gave him the eye jammy, so he had the mask on because his eye and everything was messed up or whatever from that, which was crazy. And I think if I'm not mistaken, Africa Bambaataa got into it, the whole Zulu Nation, and they were able to, squash the beef or whatever. You all right over there, bro?
Yeah,
man, it's Texas, man. It's thunder and the lightning out this joint.
Damn.
We're talking about Q-Tip.
That's Thor.
I thought you was adding sound effects to the show.
Nah, man, the turntables is off right now.
Man, you got a sound effects joint going.
Nah, it's thunder and the lightning out here. It's been like that since we started.
Man, that's crazy. All right, tell me this, y'all. A long time ago, Writer's Bench, Evan Bezo were trying to break down the difference between an MC and a lyricist. And I mean, we all have different definitions. I always looked at Q-Tip as a lyricist, but they didn't. They were like, nah, he's an MC. You know what I mean? Like, for them, a lyricist is like Jizza. And I'm like, I get that, but I just, what do you view Q-Tip as? You know what I mean? Do you think he's like an ill MC? Do you think he's a serviceable MC? Like, I always looked at Tip as like, yo, this nigga is nice. You know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, Vay, what do you think? You're an MC. What do you get from Tip when you hear him?
I think he's both.
Okay.
I think thinking about what they might have thought as the definition. I think when they think of GZA, they thinking about, the thought process and the technique and how intricate his rhymes is and the patterns within the words he rhymed together and all that stuff. And I think when I think of MC, I think, you're nice on the mic, but you also, I don't know, you're probably better at rocking the show. And I think Q-Tip could do both. You hear something like Verses from the Abstract, and like I said, the other joint, damn, now I'm forgetting everything. Not Hot Sex. What was the joint I said was the shit? I can't remember the second joint I said, but nevertheless, I feel like he's capable of both. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like his beats. Like I said, there's a boom bap feel to it, which feels traditional. I think when people look at lyricists, they think of traditional hip hop. But then there's a groove to it. There's fun to it, and that's what an MC was always, a master of ceremonies.
Mm-hmm.
Q-Tip could rock a show. He could DJ a show, talk on the mic the whole time. GZA not so much. Nobody want to hear. Nobody will hear just like, yo, y'all ready to rock? Like, nah, B, get off of there. But yeah, I think he's both. To be honest.
All right. No doubt. Porsche, what you think?
I kind of agree. I think I would classify Q-Tip as more of an MC rather than lyricist, but I think he has moments where he's definitely shows lyricism in the way that I would define it. The reason I don't consider him like a lyricist in the way that I define it is because I put people like Thought and Monch and Q-Tip's just not that style to me. So I don't, but I think he has his moments for sure. I don't think he's just like, not able to. It's just that I think he more leans towards just being an MC.
All right, no doubt. What about you, Nick?
Yeah, I kind of agree with Porsche a little bit. I mean, he can do both, but I would lean more so to the MC aspect of his style.
All right, right.
I think he's both, man. One of my regrets is that I've never been to a Tribe Called Quest show when Fife was alive, and I probably just won't ever be able to go to one. I think when he does live shows, he's an MC with lyricist or lyricist qualities. His albums, he's a lyricist, but when he does the shows, he knows that he needs to be able to be a little bit of both. That show, you gotta turn up. You can't just be in there spitting your rhymes and walking across the stage. He knows how to articulate both. Very well, which is an extremely hard thing to do. He does it well. I think he's both, man. I agree with Veg wholeheartedly.
All right. What about you, Rhett?
You mean Tone?
I mean, Tone, I apologize. Tone, what do you think? Lyricist or MC or both?
I mean, he's a little bit of both, but I actually think he's, again, underrated as a lyricist because I think some people look at lyricists and they have to be so intricate and detailed with their rhymes, like a Razzcast, GZA, some of these guys who Pharoah Monch, they a lot of layers to their lyrics, but that doesn't mean that Q-Tip is not a lyricist because he might not have that many layers. I think it makes him more entertaining to a degree because some of these other guys, do you want to see them for 55 minutes at a show? You know what I'm saying? MC is master ceremony, but MC should also be a lyricist as well. So I think he got the best of both worlds, man. And I think he's an underrated lyricist. I think he's an underrated MC. I think he's an underrated beat maker. And we can get into his legacy and stuff, I'm sure, before the show is over with. But I think he's underrated overall across the board because we kind of take Q-Tip for granted. You know what I'm saying? So, but that's just me, man. I think you're a dope lyricist, man. Real talk.
And I mean, that's how I felt too. And then like Ed was trying to say, if you look at Daylight, he's like, well, Paz is a lyricist. Dave is the MC, and I kind of look at him like, shit, as long as you dope, I'm good. Like until we start talking with them, I'm like, I never looked at an MC versus a lyricist. It's just that, are you dope or not?
Exactly.
Now, while I'm still on that, one of the things that I love about Tip is just him being a visionary. And whenever I think of Tip being a visionary, I think of Dilla and I think of Kid Hood. I think of like that Tip. From what I understand, Amp Fiddler, who was like, I think that's his name, Amp Fiddler.
Yeah, Amp Fiddler.
Right. Mm-hmm. That he managed Slum or he knew Slum, and on the Smoke and Grooves tour, he gave Tip the Slum Fantastic Volume 1, and it was one of those moments like, yeah, whatever with these MCs, who the fuck did these beats? You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? And one of the hardest things that I give Tip credit for is like kind of what I give Pro credit for stepping back away from Illmatic and not Brody in the whole thing and allowing others to come in. Not too many producers put on another producer. You know what I mean? Most times it's almost like, nah, nigga, like you taking my shine, like type thing like that. Like I'll never forget, Gangstar took all the people out, all the radio stations out to Dave and Buster's, and I'm talking to Guru. I'm like, yeah, I gave Primo my beat CD to check out. He's like, nigga, why you give it to him? That nigga make beats, and then he gives shit to me. You know, being the Primo fan that I was, it was like, nah, I gotta give it to Primo, and let you know. So you don't have. I don't know if there's been any times when a producer has put on other producers. You know what I mean? So the fact that Tip was able to hear those beats and everything like that, and you know, that's how he got in, of course, with Busta and with De La. I think they said that Tip called De La, played them, the stakes is high, and they lost their fucking mind. Like, yo, give us that shit. That's how Dilla got on Mad Skills' album. You know, of course, that's how Dilla got on with Busta Rhymes. So, you know, I just looked at Tip as being that like spirit of saying, like, yo, fuck that, I ain't gonna Brody that. Like, yo, let's bring. Like how I feel like that's how I'm like, let's do it for the culture. Like, I'm not gonna Brody this. Like, yo, I ain't gonna. This dude got beats. You should get on De La album instead of Tip being like, yo, let me get a track. It's like, nah, let this new dude shine and get a track. You know what I mean? Which I thought was, you know, extremely dope. You don't get a lot of that in the industry. You know what I mean? And then just with the Kid Hood, like I just felt like Tip had that eye to just be like, yo, you dope as fuck. Like we always talk about in the Scenario remix, Kid Hood did not belong. Like, which one of these motherfuckers don't belong in the room? It was Kid Hood. Like, you know what I mean? Everybody else's verse is like, you know, Tribe and Leaders, and then Kid Hood talking about Larry Davis, you know? And then I grab my dick. Like, that's not supposed to be on the Tribe album. You know, you don't say that on Tribe. So I just think like he's a visionary. He's done so much. Vague, what are some of the ways that you see Tip's imprint on hip hop or in this culture?
I think Q-Tip is a big. Y'all can hear me, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I think Q-Tip is a huge hip hop fan, and I think he doesn't let the industry politics, the things that he's supposed to do because he's Q-Tip, because of the Tribe Called Quest and all their hits. I don't think he lets those get in the way of his fandom. You know what I'm saying? And I think he takes his fandom and he applies it to music and business and everything else he does. Like you said, for putting other producers on, to spotting MCs. Like I remember, like when the Illmatic joint was going on, and you know they were talking about the process and all the producers and work with Nas to just be a part of the process. And not a lot of cats are like that, and I think that's what's reflected in him as a producer, as a MC in the game. I think he, unfortunately, he is underrated on a number of levels. And I think as far as his imprint on the game, you know, I think people are going to appreciate him, unfortunately, when he's gone. I think that's when they'll realize Q-Tip did all of this stuff. I was looking at his credits as far as production throughout the years. Been putting work since the 80s. As a producer, and he's done work with Mariah Carey, Madonna, like you name it, Prince, you name it. Q-Tip has worked from the beginning all the way up until now. He got credits and collaborations with people from Pharrell to everybody. You know what I'm saying? So I think people will step back later on, or you know, maybe they get commemorate. Maybe he doesn't have to die, but maybe they get in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame or something, and people start to look back and say, damn, you know, Q-Tip really did a lot, because like you said before, Kill, what or like in one of your other podcasts with the Jay Dilla joint, I always used to say, like, it's difficult for casual hip hop fans to put Dilla in the high esteem because they don't know everything he's done. You know what I'm saying? Because he's not like a household name based off of a hit. But he's done so many dope hits that people don't know. He goes underappreciated. Whereas with Q-Tip, they know him, but they may only link him to a Tribe Called Quest. So I think he definitely has a big imprint, though.
I was going to ask, why do you think, and I mean, we could all touch on this, but why do you think people don't get that recognition until they're gone. Is it just like what you said, like they don't have that hit, they don't have, you know, like whereas Jay can say, look at the Billboard chart, so I was, you know, held it down for 10 summers, or is that the reason? Like, because we love Jay because we see the stats, we see you held it down, we see the numbers, we see the money. Is it the money? Because I think Jay gets all of his fucking props right now. Like, I think he gets all of them and then some. You know, right now, where it's like you said with Tip, God forbid, it will be like, damn, you know, until he dies, then everybody will be like, oh my God, he was the greatest ever. Like, why do y'all think that is?
Just because he's a humble cat.
You say he a humble cat?
He just a humble cat. He a regular dude. Like when he went solo, it was a line on the Amplified album where he's like, you know, you see me in your Bentley, nigga, just honk, yo. It's like I'm in the Bronco.
Okay.
Yeah, I got the money, I can get that, but that's not what I project out there. You know what I'm saying? So like when hip hop went to the materialistic, the money and all of that, I think that's why his solo career didn't prosper, because he didn't represent that.
I think his solo career didn't prosper for a number of reasons, but
I know, because if you go back to Amplified,
You say you think his solo career popped for a number of reasons?
I said I think his solo career didn't pop, but this is a solution.
Oh yeah, I agree with you.
But I think that's part of it too, though, because he just was never that dude. He wasn't the flashy dude. He wasn't, you know, disrespecting women. That just wasn't his steez. So when people kind of saw that as soft, he kind of got pushed to the back for like the Jay-Z's, 50 Cents, cats like that. Once we got to the late 90s into the 2000s.
Right. I just always wonder, because, you know, you got, I feel like sometimes Mos Def gets more love than Q-Tip does. You know, Andre 3000, and not saying it's not warranted for the,
but they'll tell you themselves who their Yoda is.
Right. I get they'll tell you, but like, you know, Mofo's still waiting for Andre 3000 album. This nigga done told y'all in 8 different languages.
You ain't getting it. Yeah.
Nigga still waiting. It's like,
know, right?
you know, like I said, Andre 3000 verse on Anderson .Paak album is worth more than Big Boy's whole discography. You know what I mean?
Sadly so, yeah.
So
you know what though?
What's up, babe?
I think you kind of touched on it. Why? Like, or everybody did early on. For so long, we just looked at him as like there was a point where we thought he was a Tribe Called Quest. Then everything was a Tribe Called Quest, and his solo career didn't pop like that. So he's just associated with what he did with Tribe Called Quest, mostly as an MC.
Yeah,
and people forget, except for us who were around during that time, about all the different things he produced. For damn sure, like I had to do a double take. I was like, wait a minute, he produced a song for Kendrick? Like, I didn't know. You know what I'm saying? I don't think I paid attention.
Right.
So it's little things like that where he's kind of under the radar, whereas, you know, Outkast really popped at a different time in hip hop, where there's way more exposure on them as a group, and for you to say, oh, you know, well, they're separate. And then plus his solo, the Love Below, you know, I like the Renaissance album, but I like Love Below better. So it was more successful. So
right, I know what
I can see why people would want more from Andre.
Right.
Too though. Yeah, think about this too. Most fans found out that Q-Tip did the All Tribe production just a couple of years ago at Beach Round Life documentary. Think about if we knew in 1991 that Q-Tip is the producer of Tribe Called Quest and he's the lead MC. His entire legacy would be looked at totally different. You know what I'm saying? We thought Alicia E. Muhammad made all the beats. You know what I'm saying? But if you found out that Q-Tip was doing all that, then he pretty much executive produced the Infamous, did One Love for Nas, did the Gangsta Bitch for Apache, did all this Crooklyn and all this stuff. You would look at him in high esteem like you look at Pete Rock and Lawrence Professor and all these guys. He's just like them with the beats. He's not on no level less than Pete Rock and Lawrence Professor, none of these guys. He's right there with them in terms of production, in my opinion. And as far as an MC, he's a dope MC. And even when he left Tribe, you know, people might not like Amplified or whatever, and him and Dilla make the beats and Vibrant thing and all that, but the shit went gold. He had a gold album and like 2 gold singles. You know what I'm saying? He turned around, the Kamal Abstract didn't drop, I don't think. But then the Renaissance was critically acclaimed. He had some amazing production on there. It was a dope ass album. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, he slept on, but he's done so much work where he shouldn't be slept on. You know what I'm saying? But we found most people picked up on a lot of his contribution later in the game. You know what I'm saying? He been doing this since like 89, 90.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
and he a loyal cat
Wow.
because like back to Dilla when the Far Side wanted to work with Tip. So I don't know what was going on, but it's like, yo, check out my nigga Dilla. That's how JD
Right.
ends up all over Lab Cab in California. And the Rod Digger thing, like she came to him. They it's a B-side called Mardi Gras at Midnight with Q-Tip and Rod Digger, and that's like Beats, Rhymes, and Life era. So he had.
You also remember Pharrell? You remember Pharrell on Beats Around the Life documentary? He said, "Hey, we his sons."
Exactly.
His words were, "Me, Kanye, Jay Dilla, we are Tip's sons."
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And that is not just them three, but those are three prominent ones.
Exactly.
As far as Dilla is being considered, technique wise, maybe the bass beat maker. You know what I'm saying? Kanye is an icon, whether people like it or not. And Pharrell is just amazing musical genius. They're all from the tree of Q-Tip, and Q-Tip got a big ass tree.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm glad we're doing this episode because I hope this shit, a lot of people see this because Q-Tip is absolutely amazing at making beats, man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He's amazing.
Yep.
Porsche, what about you? What is your imprints of Tip in hip hop? What do you think?
I mean, here's the thing. I'm still learning about the stuff that Tip does that I didn't know he ever did. And I stumble upon people saying, oh, this is how Q-Tip, kind of tweaked this Mobb Deep album. This is how Q-Tip was involved in this person's track that went, multi-platinum. I'm constantly learning about Q-Tip. Like, it's just, I think he's one of those people that everything sort of like, I don't know why he stayed in the background for so long. And I think Vegas touched on it, and so did Nick, is he's just a humble dude and he's for the culture more than anything. And he kind of tried to stay true to that as much as he could. And I think he just didn't chase the big, huge thing that somebody like Kanye did or Jay-Z did or whatever. Although he's got the ability and the credits to be that big. Do you know what I mean? He's the one who essentially taught Kanye about Sierra Leone that created the track Diamonds from Sierra Leone. If it wasn't for Q-Tip, Kanye didn't even know where Sierra Leone was located. He didn't even know diamonds. No, it's true, but it's true. Like, Q-Tip literally had to show him on a map. Like, this is where Sierra Leone is. This is what blood diamonds are. Right. And so Kanye created this track. I mean, that's huge. If you think about Kanye, if you think about that track, if you just think about everything, he's got a hand in everything. And he is wildly, criminally underrated, for real. Yeah. Like, Q-Tip is on my top 5 producers of all time. He doesn't really make my MC list, but he's amazing on production and everything else he does behind the scenes, for sure.
It's funny you brought up the Mobb Deep album. Somebody on Twitter just schooled me to there's the Mobb album that what they did before Tip got.
Yes, yeah, and he mixed and mastered it almost.
Right. Let's just say, thank God Tip got involved.
Thank God.
Absolutely. Exactly. Some of them original joints, was not at that level. You know what I mean? So
and that's why I say Hell on Earth is Havoc's masterpiece.
Right. True. And like I said, Nick, you the one who schooled me to that. So that's definitely Nick. Fingerprints on hip hop for Tip. What are yours?
I mean, we already said it, man. Outkast, shit, they rapped over the Scenario beat. That's what they freestyled over to get their deal. That's way down in the South. Mos Def, Kanye, just too many, man. Just too many. The dude is, like I said, he's loyal because if he got love for you, even if he can't do it himself, he's gonna find somebody else that can. Like the Rod Digger situation. Tribe was breaking up. He didn't really have the platform to do what he needed to do. Boom. My dude Busta Rhymes is blowing up. I'm gonna send you over there. He can take care of you. Most cats would be like, hey, you're on your own, sis. Q-Tip looked out, made sure her situation was tight. That's just the kind of dude he is.
Right. What about you, Rap?
Man, I don't think he's gonna get the credit that he deserves. I watched a interview with Pharrell, and he talked about how much Bonita Applebum had an imprint in who he was and what he ended up doing as an artist. you know, he's a father to a lot of these kids' styles, man. But unfortunately, the people who he birthed, so to speak, honestly, commercially outshined him. So I don't think he'll ever get that respect unless they ask those people individually. You know, he's one of my all-time greats. All-time lyricists, no. Producers, yes. He's in my top 5. But Q-Tip, man, and Veg hit it on the head. Q-Tip is going to go unheralded, underrated, unfortunately, until we have a situation where he's no longer physically on this earth. It's just the nature of the business, unfortunately, when commercially you don't do what, you know, we think you should do. You know, underground wise, you can't knock him, man. He's for the culture, and that's just what it is. I think that means more to him than anything. I just don't think he's gonna get the just due, but he damn sure deserves it for what he's done, for what he's been able to bridge to the culture, as far as the young and the old. Because if you look at that too, before there was this big to do, he's been doing that too. You know, the Pharrells, the Lupe Fiascos. You know, that was kind of the start of it. You know, cats was looking like, all right, well, who are these new guys? But without him being a bridge, who knows where we'd be at with some of these people.
Right. And I think Veg brought up a great point. Just when he was talking about looking at his credits. To me, Tip was the original Fab. And what I mean by that is like Fab has been featured on like 8 billion songs. You know what I mean? And in the 90s, Tip was like he was everywhere. Everywhere in a bad way. It was just like, that's why I never understood the whole MC lyricist thing, because I'm like, nobody's going to get a Tip verse to sell records. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to Tip to get a dope verse. You know what I mean? To me, he always, you know, come through, whether it's the brand new heavies, whether it's, what's that, Groove is in the Heart? Who was that?
D-Light.
Yeah,
he's on D-Light.
Yeah, like
Chemical Brothers, Janet Jackson. That nigga did
it's like he's everywhere, like, and you just do that. And then two, to me, he's still like that Busta Tip mixtape they dropped a couple of years ago was crazy too. You know what I mean? Like that was dope. He was spitting on that. So tell me this: in your top 10, top 20 producers, does Tip make it? You know, you ain't gotta give me a number. Like, for instance, he's in my top. He's probably like around 9-ish, 10-ish for me. So he makes it. Like, you could say 10 to 15, or he's in my 20s or wherever. Vague, where does Tip production-wise line up for you in that GOAT list?
Yeah, I think you did a show on this, and I was on there. I don't remember who I had him, but I know he's definitely in top 10, if not. If he's not in the top 5, he got to be on the edge for me, because again, it's kind of like, you know, it's the. I guess when we think about the albums and why everybody picked stuff that was outside, I think when you look at, like you said, when you look at the Tribe albums, you're looking at them as a whole. And again, you're putting Q-Tip in that same box. But then when you start thinking about all the other stuff he did for other people that was dope, like The World Is Yours remix, Temperatures Rising, stuff like that, then that starts to bump him up the list more, probably more so than other producers, because of the simple fact that he has more than people realize. So I kind of feel like with Q-Tip as a producer, he's probably definitely in my top 10. I don't know if he's in my I doubt he's in my top 5, because as I start to think about it, you know, you think about who you putting them ahead of.
Right.
And there's just certain people I wouldn't. So
right. And it's funny, just in you talking, it's like that quick, I'm totally forgetting about the Tribe albums. You know what I mean? Like he makes my top 10, 11-ish, 12-ish with just all the shit we was naming. Now I'm like, oh shit, this nigga got 2 classic back-to-back albums.
Yeah.
So just that quick, and after doing this show, I done forgot that quick that. So with knowing that and the Tribe stuff, then he definitely makes my top 10. That he's probably knocking on the door at 6 or 7, if not moving up closer. Because of that. Tone, what about you?
Look, you just said exactly what I was about to say. Q-Tip produced the Low End Theory and the Midnight Marauders back to back. You ain't gonna have 10 people better than that to me. You know what I'm saying? I just
top 10
can't
alone.
see it, because when we talking about producers who did back to back classics, you look at Outkast, that was the whole organized damn noise, not just Q-Tip by himself. You know what I'm saying? You think about Dr. Dre, Did Daz help him out? Shit, did you know Battle Cat help him out? I don't know, but I know that Q-Tip, from what has been said, produced 3 Tribe albums back to back. You know what I'm saying? All these remixes back to back. And look, who else has done that outside of the RZA and damn Primo?
Mhm.
P Rock had what hit the 2 P Rock CL Smooth albums. So I would say Q-Tip could possibly be as high as damn 7 to me. You know what I'm saying? Like he's a top 10 dope type of producer to me. You know what I'm saying? But that's just to me.
All right, Porsche, what about you?
I mean, for me, again, Q-Tip's on a top 3 for me. I don't, and I cheat kinda because I don't separate Pete Rock and Primo from the number 1 spot. So with that said, yeah, Q-Tip's easy number 3. He ain't budging from that at all. Ever.
I hear you. I hear you. What about you?
No, we can't give Portia a pass on that. You can't have 2 number
No,
1.
here's the thing, man. There's certain things it just is not worth fighting. Drake is not worth
This
fighting.
is one of them.
Like Drake is not
I will
fighting.
die on that hill. I will die on
We'll
that
fight
hill.
later. We'll
You
fight
know,
I
later.
will die on that hill.
You ain't married. When you marry long enough, some fights you just walk away from. It ain't even worth it.
I will
Just walk away.
I will die on the hill of not separating Pete Rock and
Just-
Primo. I will die on that
walk
hill
away.
gladly.
And look, Kill, you
what's
can't
up, man?
leave out. You can't even leave out. Some fights you just walk away from, but sometimes you can't even fucking walk away because they follow you.
That is true.
That's when you get in the car and drive off.
Let's
You
be
gotta walk
that
away.
Porsche is allowing us to walk away from the fight. And that she's not like, nigga, I done told you 5 times. I'm not separating the 2. So we love that I had that. Nick, what about you?
Yeah, I think Low End Theory and Midnight alone warrants top 10 status.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Because you know how I value total bodies of work. And then me, I'm a fan of not Amplified. What's the joint? The Renaissance and the Last Tribe album.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of those 2 though. So that's 2 more projects he has under his belt. So he's easily like 6 or 7 on my list.
All right, no doubt. Rec, what about you?
He's in my top 5. Sometimes he moves, but he's in my top 10 totally. I mean, just from longevity, you know, I got to put him there, man. And it's quality. It's not just bullshit. You know what I'm saying? From what he did and People's Instinctive doesn't get it's just due. He did a whole fucking album by itself, really, right? We talking 15 to 18 songs. You figure the album came out in 90, so it's probably made in between 88 and 90, right?
He was a teenager.
You figure they stopped doing music as a whole in 98. 96 we don't count because that was the UMA. I'm talking just Tip. For 5-6 straight years, he was putting out bangers.
Yeah.
Straight up. If you look at it in that way, straight bangers. So for that alone, in that climate of what the 90s was from that time period, and we talked about this before, people's difference in golden eras, whether it was 88 to 92, 92 to 96, 96 to 2000, whatever the fuck. He had a part in it. He had a part in it. Whether it was tribe shit or whether it was something else when he had the purple bandana on. He was doing it. So he's in my top 5, if not top 5 for that day, top 10.
All right, no doubt. Now, MCs. I think him as an MC, I definitely probably have Tip. He's in my top 20. I don't know where, you know, maybe he's in that 15 to 18 range. I don't know. I know I did a show about it, but my mind is slipping right now. But he's definitely top 20. He's definitely top 20. Vague, what about you?
Producers on the mic.
No. Just MCs, just as an MC.
MCs in general.
Like, the MC in general.
Yeah, he's probably in my top 20. Probably closer to 20 because, you know, sometimes when you're making beats, you know, you don't have the same leverage with the writing that you do with somebody who's only focused on the writing side of it. And like we said before, Kill, a couple of years ago on that anniversary show, man, it was very debatable who was the best out of the group.
And it was.
So
yeah.
it's difficult to say, like, damn, is he in my top 20? Is he better than Fife? You know what I'm saying? Who knows?
Now, see, I gotta fuck yeah, he's better than Fife, but
I do too.
you know, what about you, Tone?
You know what was funny is I actually never thought about ranking Q-Tip as an MC. And again, that might be me underrating him again. As a beat maker, of course, I got him top 10. But as an MC, I never looked at it, man. And not to lowball him, because so many amazing MCs. I'll say he's in my top 30. I don't know where that would be.
Right.
He could be from 15 to 29. I don't know. But there's been hundreds of MCs in the history of hip hop. And if you write down 50 right now, all 50 of them are great. You can write down 100 MCs right now, like all them cats can rap. You know what I'm saying? So that's not a slight on Q-Tip, man. He's a dope MC, man. But I would maybe say if I'm looking at a top 30, he would fall somewhere in there. And again, that's no slight, man. There's so many dope MCs if you actually start writing out rappers that you think can actually, who are dope. So that's where I would have is top 30.
All right. What about you, Porsche?
I probably rank Q-Tip in a. I mean, again, my disclaimer is this. Like Tone said, there are thousands of MCs that have come and gone and are fantastic. So ranking in any spot really is not a bad thing. I personally would rank Q-Tip probably in like a top 50 list if I was going to do one. And again, that's no slight. It's just I don't think like rapping is Q-Tip's forte. I think he outshines as a producer, and I think that is where his talent has gone mostly. But again, top 50 for me.
All right.
And somewhere between the 30 and 50 range rather than the 1 to 29.
All right. Nick, what about you?
Yeah. We did a show earlier, so I definitely had him in my top 25. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't love a lot of MCs, so I can't think of too many I'm gonna have that high over Q-Tip anyway. Not for me. So he was definitely in my top 25.
All right. And what about you, Rhett?
Man, Tip doesn't make a top 20 or 25 list for me, man. If I hear him, I gotta hear him with Fife or in a collaborative effort. I never, even when he was doing the single, the solo album projects, I never really expected much. I knew what I was going to get. So I'm kind of with Porsche, man. He's in the top 50 list for me, man. I got tons of other single artists that I could put way ahead of him from a standpoint of just rapping.
All right. No doubt. I definitely feel you on that. All right. Always love collaborating with that time in hip hop. Give them all the information, good brother.
You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Vegas World INC, and you can check out our podcast on YouTube. It's called That Time in Hip Hop. It's all about history and nostalgia, but more importantly, the preservation of hip hop music and culture. I do it with the homie Tone. It's dope. We got like 30 something episodes. I can't remember.
Yeah.
We got more. So.
All right. No doubt. Tone, give them all the stuff about the Dome too, man.
Yeah, man. Twitter at Enter the Dome, enterthedome.com. Check it out. That's where we at, man.
All right, no doubt. Right, give them all the info, good brother.
All right, man. So Twitter is at DJ Rec1, and Instagram is Worldwide Rec1.
All right, Nick.
Twitter is at Balloon, like Daylight's Balloon Mind State LP, and I really don't want y'all niggas following me on IG. So.
No doubt. Boys, give them everything.
You'll post it up. I don't need to. I've caused too many problems this week. Let's take a break from Twitter.
There you go. So we going away from the shit. You know what, Porsche? What have you started? It's usually the shit kill started on Twitter this week.
Oh no, I think
on Twitter
Porsche starts more shit than you, bro.
Okay, so I said that Eminem and Logic's track is not going to be. I said it's going to be trash. Okay, it will be. We all know this because he was a flop. So people came at me for that, and then I said that someone ranked Eminem 5 ranks higher than Tupac Shakur, which I cannot compute in my brain. So then people came at me for that. So I'm still dealing and kind of sifting through that whole mess. So
Wow.
That's the shit that Portia started.
How
to
dare
do.
they
Portia-
talk reckless about Tupac?
And then
No,
someone
it's
came
all right
at
with
me and
me.
said that if I rank Logic and Eminem's track less than a 6, then I'm just a hater. I was also told I was a casual rap fan and that I should get educated and then come talk to the person. So it is what it is.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. All
You
right.
better start arguing with white people online.
Shit that Portia starts. I think somebody tweeted out something like people who like Eminem aren't hip hop fans. Like
I
they
seen that.
They
I
have
seen that.
something that
most of them, man.
like you can't talk hip hop openly with somebody who's an Eminem fan, but you know there. You already know this with me, Kill 889 Twitter. I will make beats for food.com. I will check y'all next week, y'all.
See ya.
Hey,